masking fluid is dry, so it's time to work on that glass. And to work on the glass, I'm going to pick up some of the background color, and I also need some lighter blues. So I've got just a bunch of different grays and blues in the background all mixed up and ready to go on my palette. And then I'm just going to start adding some of these soft grays. It's easiest to paint from light to dark on things like this. So if you just make smooth shapes, even knowing that they're going to have to go darker, but just to get something on the board, it will help you to differentiate between the glass and the background, and then you can go darker as needed. Let's see, you can add some different colors into those shadow shapes. Mixing some blues, mixing some grays. And then between the branches, or between the whatever it's called, stems, add some of those down there as well, knowing of course that you're going to have to go darker like I said, but just to get something down on the page. And down at the bottom here, you have a really intense dark. It's just about as black as you can make it. So I'm going to go careful around the edge of the fruit. And then I used some masking fluid to preserve some little dots there that I saw in the glass. And when it's wet, can just drop in as much dark as you want and it will flood out smoothly, just like that. Then that same dark is going to go around some of those stems and really accentuate. It makes it really interesting. And this helps to form the stems and add some contrasts to the piece. Then while that dark is still on my brush, I'm going to add a bit more dark to some of these up here. Just kind of making some interesting lines and shapes on the glass. And now we're getting some of that depth of glass, and it's feeling more like glass, like reflective surfaces there. So I'm happy with that. And after removing the masking fluid, when this dries, it might need to be cleaned up, some of those lines. And that's perfectly fine. We can deal with that when we come there. But now let's go back into the apples. And now that they're dry, bump up those shadow shapes a little bit more. I'm going to go in with a Payne's Gray mixed with a yellow ochre and really bump up right in here. Let me redraw the stem. Okay, drop in some darks like this. I'll do the same thing to this apple. Then after it's down, you can blend out the sides with a damp brush. And just blend it out like this. This is all dry now, so I'm going to remove my masking fluid. Just rub it off with my finger. My edges look pretty good. Yeah, they look good. But I can do a little bit of cleanup work at the top of the rim there. Just go over with a glass bluey color. Just like this. Just to help the viewer out a little bit so they can see what that is. And this and this highlight here, I'm going to smooth. Remember, in your painting you want there to be variation of colors, variation of light and dark, and variation of edge quality, so some soft and some hard edges. And I'll pull out another little highlight on the edge like this and soften this one that same way. Then I get the brightness because I protected the core of the highlight, but I'm also getting a little bit more realism by softening it. Same here for this water. Charlotte, come in.
So, I'm sorry, but
so I'm going to soften up, now that I've removed the masking fluid, I'm going to soften up some of these highlights on the glass. The masking fluid helping to preserve that white core and keep it really bright. But now softening it will just add to the realism a bit more. And that's working really nicely. Then let's add a few finishing touches here in the apple stems. Just give them a little bit of color. Nothing too distracting, just a bit of brown on those. Even with the apple stem, you're going to have a highlight side and a dark side. Then I'm going to get some Pro White, which is this, And it's like white paint, only it's less distracting than white paint, and it's not chalky like paint. So I'm going to get a little bit in the lid and then use a very small little round brush here. Make sure your paint's not too globby. And then there's just some little edges that I can clean up and that I can add some detail to in these dandelions, especially in these really small little pods that are floating off. You see them up here like a little star. You see them down here by these fluffs over here. So you can't overuse the Pro White, but it's really good for things exactly like this. I'll focus in so you can see how the details can really be helped out here. See, I'm just cleaning up around the edges. Since I can paint with thinner lines with the Pro White, I can get that fuzzier, more realistic effect around these dandelions. But it works as well as it does because I already protected a lot of the lines with the masking fluid. So I'm just filling out. I'm not building from scratch. I'm just connecting some of these white edges with the body of the dandelion as well. I can also use that Pro White to bring out another little highlight edge if I need something brighter in the glass, like this. So this is really good for small, delicate finishing details like this. So let me do the last work on these dandelions using the Pro White to fill out the fluffs, and then I will come back to you and we'll take the tape off. Okie dokie. I went ahead and added some more details around those fluffs, and now I feel like it's time to take off that tape so we can see our edges. Especially with this piece, which is really dark, taking off the tape and revealing some crisp white paper around the outside really helps to make those highlights pop and brings it some extra life. So that is where I'm going to leave it. I think that you're going to really enjoy painting this one. The dandelion fluffs are a lot of fun, and if you're new to watercolor painting, painting a still life with a fun loose background and these spherical shapes in the foreground is going to be a good way to sort of inch your way into more difficult technical aspects of painting. If you're more advanced, then you've got the glass work and all of that masking techniques that you can polish up in this piece. So no matter what stage you're at, this is a really good one to work on. So thank you so much for watching me paint. I hope that you try it at home. Hope that it adds to your grab bag of artistic knowledge, some techniques that you can use in the future on other things, of course, and I hope that you join me next time for another painting tutorial. Thanks so much.